Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection. This is your host, Lawrence, welcoming you to today's program. Thank you to all the listeners who have joined us on air and those who are already waiting online with some questions for me too. Welcome to all of you. Thank you very much for making space in your early morning calls when you could easily be taking a further nap or just very busy doing something that is pure entertainment, not something that is to the order of what we offer here on the Morning Connection. So, thank you. This morning I'm flying solo. Pastor Percival is putting his pastors and father to many rarely get time off. In fact, I think Percival's hands had to be pried off the steering wheel because he's so committed, really. And so to he's been blessed with a family who understands that even if it hurts, you need to get some rest. So I do hope Pastor Percival is getting some good rest. It's only 3 days, really. We will be missing him for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So you will hear from him again and see him early next week. So, Minute flying solo. Though I have persuaded the producer to come from behind camera and all the devices that he manages to join me for a spell. So hopefully, as we get into the 7 o'clock hour, the producer will step from behind and we can have a little conversation of what goes on behind the scenes of the Morning Connection. This show which strives to be different, but to be different with a purpose. So, Lowell Lawrence and Minute Lawrence for a little while. Prepare yourself. Um, well, what are we going to do this morning? A number of things have been kind of shaping up both in our private world and in the public spaces. Um, and we want to share with you our perspective. And if we can have some kind of influence on your perspective, by all means. We're coming out of Father's Day, and it was my intention from yesterday to just spend a little more time celebrating our fathers and speaking directly to the role that they have to play as things continue to unfold in Jamaica. So do a little bit more. We'll speak a little bit more on that. But for the most part, we are certainly drawn to the happenings in the sphere of public life that touches and concerns everything, the administration of justice. You know, there was maybe I saw it on social media, but there was a young man speaking about the condition of the roads in his community and things that he wanted the government to do. And I'm trying to remember exactly where I saw it, but somewhere as he was listing all of these very practical things that needed to be done, he just kind of stuck in it. We want justice. Yes, we want justice. And um, he wasn't mentioning any of the usual things that precede the call for justice. He was really talking about infrastructure things and opportunities in the community and so on and so forth. But when he included justice, I could see it's one of those videos that have a regular Jamaican who would normally be speaking in patois, but is making an effort to speak the Queen's English because he has a microphone in his hand. So he doesn't look altogether comfortable. But what was definitely comfortable was his understanding, and you could see him working through his mind all the different things like, now that I have a microphone, now that people are listening, let me say everything I can about what my community needs. And he was putting his words together, not in the most eloquent way, but certainly in the most, well, I take that back, not in the most polished way, but certainly in the most eloquent way, because it made a connection. And I think everybody listening to this young man could relate to someone who was looking at his community beyond his doorstep and seeing things in a broader light. And then as he was narrating his list of things that need to change, he included justice, and I thought, how entirely appropriate. At the heart level, this is a Jamaican who understands, a young man, so I mean, under 35 for sure. This is a young man who understands that these deficits in his community, from the road to the missing water to the need for electrification, all these things represent an injustice that is being done to the people of his community. Clearly a rural community. I don't, I mean, if the truth is, if you've seen one, you've seen them all. But it's just, it's any Jamaican, it's me, it's you. And it's just someone feeling like someone is going to be listening to this. Let me say everything that I need to say. And in the middle of all of this stuff, he threw in the word justice. We know and we understand that true justice is not confined to punishment for misdeeds. It's not confined to what happens when the judge in the robe and the lawyer in the cape, private joke, it's not confined to the formalities of overseeing the settlement of disputes. It is not what the police do to you when they abuse you, or it's not your interaction in that very limited context. Justice is no higher than just fairness and righteous dealings in everything. It's what happens to you when you go to the hospital. It's what happens to you when someone who is about to provide you with a service that you have very little idea what stands behind the service, when they choose not to explain but just to impose certain things on you. Justice is in your everyday interaction with your neighbor, with the person sitting beside you on the bus. Does he scoot over, and a seat can accommodate two persons and one person spread out? When you come near, does he shift and make an accommodation for you? Do we have notions of fairness and right dealings operating between us? Justice is the administration or the sharing of every benefit, every advantage, including every liability, every difficulty that we experience in our society. The call for justice is deep. It is in the, it's kind of in our skin, in our bones, because we are born free, and so we are born knowing that whatever is in our environment is meant to sustain us, to sustain all of us. And when we see some getting fat and full and can't even handle what is in their hand, but they have something packed up in a car, or they have things they're hoarding, when we see that, we know that there is some injustice at work. And that is how I want our Morning Connection listeners, anyone who feels that what we're saying makes sense, that's the perspective that we are sharing. That justice, which, I got to call Percy's name. Percy always reminds us that the throne of God, the foundation of it, it is established on these principles of justice, truth, respect, honor. There's all of the noble ideals are the foundation of the throne. So we're going to talk about justice in the broadest possible sense, and look at it from the perspective of all those who are hurting and who are feeling the imbalance. This is the time for our 6:30 break. I've got the break signals like 4 times, so it's only just and right that I obey. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Best FM 100 on your dial. Keep listening.
People, are you listening?
If you choose to remain at home after an evacuation order has been issued, you do so at your own risk.
Get down, get down! Heed the warning!
Half a tree, one and drive, half a tree. Bossy, how you do I take taxi star?
Jano, I want to tell you, say, 2 months now, my transmission mash up, and I check everybody and can't hear nothing positive.
You hear me? You waste all that time I shop around and never call the experts. Winters Auto have them. Them have over 35 years of experience and them diagnose your problem and get back your transmission brand new. With them service excellent and efficient. Trust me, man. You hear me? Call them at 929-7040 or go to them at 106 Maxfield Avenue, Kingston 13 and talk directly to the boss. Just tell them I'm me send you.
You big star. Yeah, man. Respect my boss.
Try to call you, cause trust me.
Winters Auto Spares and Repairs, good afternoon.
Ah, what a relief.
Hey, hey, hey! Best 100 FM and the SOS Children's Village of Stony Hill presents an auction and telethon on June 23rd, 2022. You don't want to miss the sweet deals on designer vintage items, appliances, art pieces, and more. Go to our Instagram page at SOSVillage_auction and bid on your favorite items. That's SOSVillage_auction. Place as many bids as you can until June 23rd, the day of the event. Call us on the day to make pledges and other donations. Entertainment by the Morning Connection team. All proceeds will go to the SOS Children's Village of Stony Hill.
For a better choice in all your electrical supplies, A, authorized 3M dealer and better brand names. B, better service including free island-wide delivery. C, all major credit and debit cards accepted. It's ABC Electrical Sales. Shop number 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10. Open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We make your electrical jobs as easy as ABC. Call 754-3825-8 or fax 754-3659. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice.
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minette and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Best 100 FM.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats Best FM.
Good morning and welcome back. I have company on the other side of the microphone now. Mr. Lawrence, good morning.
Good morning.
Where have I seen you
Good
before?
morning, Jamaica. Good morning, world.
I said, where me know you're from?
Well, you would have to say.
Let's keep them guessing. Sometimes, when we are introduced and they say Lawrence and Lawrence, and I for one don't say this is my husband, or nor does Lowell say this is my wife. Not that we're hiding. We're just a minute, Lawrence, Lowell, Lawrence, and people look up and I said, yes, brothers and sisters.
Yes, so we are known as the Lawrences.
We take the cheap approach.
That's such an easy way to say it, the Lawrences.
All right, Mr. Lawrence, you've come from behind the shadows, so to speak, and you've kicked up the dress code on the set by quite a notch. Why are you so well dressed?
Well, I'm trying to follow in Pastor's footsteps. I mean, come on, we can't allow the standard to fall in.
Oh,
so,
Pastor don't wear a jacket unless he usually have a jacket on a chair if he's doing a funeral or a wedding that day. I'm just teasing. Everybody knows. I spoke about it yesterday. Lowell is back in court. Mr. Neal is still giving evidence, so I expect that Lowell will give evidence today. Earl Brown says, good morning, Mr. Lawrence.
Good morning, Mr. Brown.
And Delroy Henry, thank you, my brother. He assures me that I'm not alone. We should just keep up the good work. And gives me the usual UK shout out. I long to visit London. The Morning Connection is going to do a show in London. I feel it. Now that the producer is here.
Yes. I really want to express our appreciation to our, our
all the listeners,
viewership,
but I know,
the listenership.
I know you love the online people.
In particular, the online people who are, they have been here sometimes even before we start. I'm almost sure that their machines or their phones are just there, just waiting for us to get online. And the fact that they participate, that is so important. I think people need to realize that we need the feedback. It is very good that you're listening, but it's also very important that we know that you're out there. We get a sense for how we are reaching persons, how many persons we are reaching, and so on. So please do not hesitate to just let us know. Show us the love, in whatever way you can. You have access online. That is the best way to do it. Even if you just log in, to just give us a like, give us a subscribe, something, just to let us know that you're there, to let us know you care, and to let us know that we are making a difference in your lives. Yes, ma'am.
You know how long he's
Started to
been
get
trying to say.
comfortable.
But you know how long Lowell has wanted to say that. Every day I get chastised for not saying enough about, how you can participate in making what we do better, spreading it. And honestly, there's a part of me that just think that if only one person listen, me all right. But the producer has a different focus, and he quite rightly encourages us to say like, subscribe, da 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 da, so on and so forth. If you're watching, you will see that I'm glued to the computer. It's because I wanted to pull up and have as part of our discussion some of the topics that are on the agenda for the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. Now, I know that I have been less than charitable in my description of that group of, I call them, what did I call them again? Like the support group. I call it like the hostage support group. I say they are they are the survivors of trauma who cling together in a support group. But the truth is, and that is actually a right description of them. I'm not at all disparaging of the comfort and the strength that people get when they use support groups. I am perhaps pointing to the absence of or getting that strength and support, because really the support group is supposed to shake off the remnants or the vestiges of the trauma that you have suffered, and use that harsh experience to propel you to phenomenal growth and prosperity. But we do see a lot of the post-colonial economies struggling and suffering and so on. Notwithstanding, it's a group that can be put to excellent use. And I just wanted to see what else was going on with it, and what Jamaica's contribution is likely to be, other than just our pressing for Miss Kamina Johnson Smith to ascend to the big chair. It struck me, Lowell, as last night you saw there was a little coverage of it. Look, the youth, the young people. There is a youth delegation, by the way. We've been hearing so much about Miss Johnson Smith's campaign that I think the nation was not even queued up to understand that matters are going to be discussed that are more far-reaching than her candidacy. There are issues. There's a youth forum that precedes the heads of government meeting, and then there's a women's forum, and they have a number of issues that are to be discussed. I think that there's a theme for this year, which we could have sort of gone into the meeting with some specific objectives that we could track when our team comes back. It's one of the things that we talk about, the call for justice. Justice also requires inclusion. That citizens are included in the different things that the government is spending our money on. We certainly got included in the campaign, but we don't vote in that campaign. So we really could have done with less information on her campaign, though not the bit about how it's being paid for. I wanted us to have just a little insight into what's going on down there. I can tell you that so far from the youth conference, Botswana, Namibia, and Uganda, the young people of those countries have asked for some specific things. They have called for debt cancellation. They said a lot of the countries have gone into high debt because of COVID, and coming out of it, in order for the economies to restart with some energy, they are asking for debt cancellation. I would look very hard to see what the Jamaican youth were saying, and I'll tell you what they're saying after you've commented.
Well, it is unfortunate the way this thing started to, and I for one didn't have a full understanding of what the campaign and just becoming what is it, Secretary General, what it entails. And I think if you're going to do something like this, especially in a situation where it involves spending money from the public purse, then you should at least educate the population in terms of what it is about. What are the advantages to Jamaica? Is there any advantage? Because the whole thing came across to me as a personal campaign, something that is going to elevate her to a different level as far as her career is concerned.
Yes.
And I mean, why should we care about that? And, I'd love for somebody to correct me because I am still not sure. I understand the forum as it is right now, or the meeting and the various things that it's gonna cover. Tell me, what is the importance of being the leader of that to our own country? Why we would use money from the public purse that can be used to fund a lot of things locally, to fund a campaign such as that. We know that yes, there are advantages to that body, and that just about anyone can go online and see. The truth is, the ordinary Jamaican, they don't have a clue as to what this is about. All they know is that Mrs. Johnson Smith is going out there to spend $100,000 to campaign so that she can get a big post.
Well, $100,000 or $99,000 is only the portion that goes to the PR firm.
Right, there you go.
And I think persons need to look at it because that PR firm is also the PR firm that worked for the tourist board or the tourism ministry, and so it has some shades of trafigura that are just too irresistible to consider, and we should have some greater transparency on that. Let me tell you what the fora. Although, can you imagine these remnants of the Queen's Empire using the word forums? So they have different fora. The Youth Forum looks at delivering a common future, taking charge of our future. And we have a youth delegation. Didn't hear much about it, but last night, two of the young men who are on the team were voicing their endorsement of Kamina Johnson Smith as the candidate. It was the most bizarre thing because, I mean, two young Jamaicans standing there in Rwanda. Are they going to say we are backing Scotland? Or we like that man from Tuvalu? I mean, it was just one of the... I'm sure the PR firm cringed when they saw that. Anyway, the reporter was careful to point out that only the heads of government will vote, not the different delegation. But the theme for the Youth Forum is delivering a common future, taking charge of our future. And in today's Gleaner, the representatives from Botswana, Namibia, and Uganda asked for three very interesting things that we could have had some discussion on it before our team went out. We could have discussed what is it that our young people want to see. In fact, I find it interesting if the young people of Africa are similar to the young people of the Caribbean, here are the things that those three were united on. Debt cancellation.
Mm-hmm.
A tax-free, innovative, tax holidays for entrepreneurial, innovative projects. They complain that when they set up their businesses, this is for youth projects now, not any project, but young people feel that the level of taxation on the new projects, new businesses, that it is so high that they never get to see the light of day. It would be interesting to see how many governments would create something special for young people in that area. And the third thing they mentioned, which I thought seemed quite interesting too, they feel that the private sector should be asked to reserve a certain percentage of jobs for young people. And I think in that vein, provide some. They said reserve the jobs as a condition of licensing. So, like if you're a telecoms business,
yes.
you have to make sure that you're going to employ a certain percentage of people under a certain age group. Just like in some countries, they do it for to get gender equality. You have to have a certain number of women, or for ethnic equality, you have to have a certain number of different ethnicities in your work, your pool. They felt that job reservations for young people should be made a priority in the. What do you think about that? Because I know you're a man
Well,
who believes in succession planning.
exactly. I am encouraged that the youth, they have stepped up.
But this is
And
Botswana, Namibia,
you
and
know, and
Uganda,
they're
by the
making,
way. It's
yes,
not
and
Jamaica.
oh well, and I'm glad for that clarification, because that is where we are lacking in this country,
The Jamaicans were only saying that they
right?
support
They support.
Kamina.
Oh, okay. You see, there you go. And what else can they say?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they have no clue as to what it is about.
Oh boy.
But the thing is, I've always been saying that the youth need to step forward, because the fact is, the older people, and in some cases, the old people, they are now the guardians of what you are going to inherit. So therefore, you must hold them accountable, and you must make sure that when they go, that you get it in good condition, and that you're taken care of. And that is lacking in our politics. If you look in our parliament, you see very old people who are still there, hanging on for their life. No succession planning.
So you're saying the youth should push them?
Of course they should. They should.
But that would be elder abuse.
Well, no. I'm not saying pushing them in that way, but at least let your voice be heard.
I couldn't resist it.
And the powers that be must start to include the youth in everything at all levels. Start to train them for leadership. Start to get them involved. Let them become accustomed to what it takes in order to run a country, in order to participate. You must make sure that the legislation and all the various things are there to empower the youth.
You say that, and I'm gonna share something, and you would just see how that computes in our environment. I remember when I was a senior associate in a law firm on the brink of partnership, and I was given the opportunity to address our annual seminar on preparing for the future. And I was just I was really motivated to share real thoughts on, what it would take. I saw at the time, and I did a presentation in which I pointed to a few things. I saw that the economy was changing, and I saw that some of the entitled positions which the law firm occupied were going to disappear, and it would become harder for persons to gain work and to cement their position. So I recommended some directions for new business, and I was looking at lobbying as a business, that law firms would need to get involved in lobbying for legal reform, for change in different industries, and be prepared to put in some sweat equity, work for free for persons who were in nascent growing industries that you wanted to see flourish with you as like a foundation member. And I spoke about the same dinosaurs that you're talking about in politics. I spoke about how senior partners in the firm were reluctant and slow in opening up their network to the younger lawyers, so that there could be a smooth handover when the time came. And I may have been very uncompromising in some of my views on how I saw the transition was not taking place, and I was predicting that it would mean certain hardship for the firm, because it would mean that when the elder set moved out, the younger would not be prepared to handle the business and to run things as they were.
Yes.
I do not recall being celebrated for that presentation. In point of fact, I left the firm within a year of that presentation.
But I'm sure you understand why.
Well, I saw it come to pass, but the fact of the matter is, if the young are too aggressive in staking their claim, the old close ranks and throw you out. And well, yes, and throw you out. And I'm not making a comment on because I chose to leave the firm. I chose to leave the firm because I saw that there was great difficulty in making that shift, and I got a better opportunity.
You see,
And let me put it that way. I wasn't trying to force my way into anybody's, cabal of power, and it was a very, very patriarchal setting, male dominated, and my radicalism was way too much.
but
So I chose to leave. But I think that would be, do you think Jamaica is ready? Do you think the leaders, those who currently hold on to power in Jamaica, do you think they are ready for the youth or the next generation to storm the walls and show their intent?
they are not ready. They are not prepared. I think right now there's still a lot of selfishness out there because people feel threatened. I do believe that it should be a concerted effort between both grouping. I mean, the young people should not feel that we need to go and take it, and the older folks should not feel that, boy, the young people coming to push me aside. It should be a situation where it is a policy where at a certain point you start to prepare the youth. And then when you move out of the position, you go out in the community and you continue to work with the youth because you have the wisdom, you have the experience, and they can earn from you. As a young man, I enjoyed speaking to the older folks because as far as I was concerned, they are my future. I mean, I'm looking at them and I say, well, okay, fine. I will select somebody to say, okay, that is what I think I want my future to be. And so I learned a lot from the older folks. And thankfully, a lot of them love having me around because there's nothing like an older person who wants to just share with you their experience in life and in a lot of cases to encourage you. And I got a lot of encouragement.
But wouldn't you expect to see then that across the board, and most times we have these discussions, we focus on government, but the truth is government is just a snapshot. It's just a part of what is happening. When you look into, I look at several communities. I look at church community. I look at like the civic communities, the volunteer groups, and so on and so forth. You look at the political leadership, you look at the business community, you look in academia, you just take a walk through. And one easy way to do it is just look at the pages of the Gleaner or the Observer, or the only place where you see an oversupply of youth is in social media.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Everywhere else that you look, you're seeing the same thing. Not enough of you're not seeing that diverse mix of the different generations at play, at work, whatever it is that's going on. Unless you have like Mother's Day and Father's
And
Day
why
when
is that so?
when they're forced to do that kind of family pictures. We're not seeing it. It means that right across the board, there is difficulty in each generation to work together. Let me put it that way.
And it's selfishness, It is selfishness. It is always the feeling, the threat, feeling of threat of you losing whatever it is that you have right
Well,
now.
one person online here says it could be lack of education.
Well, boy, I don't know.
Well, knowledge
because
always brings
you
greater
know, the truth is
awareness.
a lot of the people in those positions, they are educated people. So it's not even about education. I don't think it's about education.
Well, I mean, there is.
I think it's selfishness.
Yeah, there could be education in the sense of just knowledge.
Yeah, but what knowledge would tell you that you need to do that? What level of education would bring you to that point? You see, that's the problem.
Well, I was hoping you're in pastor's chair, no, so you have to talk about heart. you can't you
Well,
can't, you can't limit yourself to school book learning. You gotta talk about heart, because when it comes down to it, it is that awareness at the heart that things need to be a particular way. So even as
yes.
you're learning, but all right. So we've done the youth, and I lament the fact that these things are happening and you don't feel as if there is a strong representation from on the international stage. I like when Jamaica can be quoted because we've made a contribution. And I'm sure if Gleaner is carrying a story and the Jamaicans did say something, Gleaner would have picked it up. They would not be focusing on Botswana, Namibia, and Uganda. I did look
And to think we
to
have a
see,
ministry. A
and
ministry
of
of youth
course,
and culture.
yeah. Let me see here. They don't mention nothing about Jamaica. Nothing. So Jamaica, the Jamaican youth will vote. And the only thing the Jamaicans were talking about is how excellent Miss Kamina Johnson Smith is going to be, because it's the youth today and the youth tomorrow and the youth. If you wake her up, it's youth. Really? And you don't even have a vote? All the way in Rwanda gone to say that foolishness.
Yes, we're treating it
So
as if it's a beauty contest.
yeah. All right.
know.
So there is a women's forum too.
Yes.
And the theme for the Women's Forum is delivering a common future, transforming for gender equality.
Mhm.
Of course, we know that we have a very senior stateswoman in charge of the ministry that deals with gender issues. But again, the Women's Forum started today as well, because all of the different fora start today. No word on what Jamaica's position is concerning gender equality at the Commonwealth level. And the Commonwealth level, that's 54 countries of supposedly like-minded people who, and a lot of black people too, who, that, you know, so I don't know what the word is for Jamaica on gender equality. We could perhaps find
By the
out.
way, is that the same ministry that is responsible for youth?
I don't know. Could you check for us?
Isn't
It
it
used to
youth,
be when under
culture and
the
gender
under the PNP
and gender
administration.
affairs?
Don't know if the JLP had broken it up.
Well, if that is the case, then
So the
we
same,
need to
yeah.
look at that ministry
All right.
because clearly,
Well, we know we need to look at that
Yes.
ministry. And then there's the People's Forum, and their focus is our health, our planet, our future. So we're expecting to see a repeat of things that the Prime Minister said at the Inter-American, the one that just gone, the one that Biden didn't want Cuba and Venezuela and Nicaragua to attend, of Conference of the Americas.
Oh,
Right.
yes, yes.
So, or health, or planet, or future. No, this is a very interesting triplet: health, planet, future. Because as we were talking, I mentioned yesterday with the human rights issues, we are seeing where your right to life, to food, to water, and so on are tied up with the care of the environment. And countries that pay scant regard to the protection of the environment can find themselves on the receiving end of a writ by a citizen or group of citizens who feel that the inattention to certain care and protection jeopardizes health, meaning food and water, planet, environment, and the future, because when these things dry up, then it is a blight on the future. We haven't spoken about what our brother Chief Curry has done in a compound. Can you ready yourself for us to have a conversation on that when we come back? We got the signal for the break.
Sure.
7 o'clock already,
Oh, wow.
Yep, let's take
Oh,
our
yes,
break.
it is.
Yeah.
Best FM 100 on your dial. Keep listening.
It's a dream for many Jamaicans to own their own home. It's an asset for one. You can arrange the space to your liking, and there's the added benefit of crossing this item off your bucket list. For many, however, the rising prices on the housing market are making this dream even harder to reach. That's where the new social housing program comes in. The program aims to assist needy Jamaicans access quality and affordable housing. Since its inception, many persons have received keys to either a 2 or 3 bedroom unit, changing their lives for the better. Beverly Tobin, who lives in Ureton, St. Catherine, recently received keys to a 3 bedroom unit for herself and her family from Prime Minister Andrew Holness.
I give thanks to God. Me and my family are appreciative and grateful for this house, because as you see, and before, I was living in a deplorable condition. And I must give gratitude to my niece Valerie for helping me to get this home.
Member of Parliament for St. Catherine North Central, Natalie Nita Garvey, says helping more Jamaicans own a home adds wealth and value to families for generations to come.
I want to extend my thanks on this initiative. I'm very elated when I can see this kind of structure, and for that I give you my maximum respect. This looks like a dignified gift to a family who is in need. Thank you very much.
From St. Catherine, we move to Seaview Gardens in St. Andrew, where 59-year-old Collington Graham, a taxi driver, received the keys to a 2-bedroom unit after the home he was living in was destroyed by fire.
Thank you very much, because after my house burned down, I tell you can imagine me passing my house and can't go in there. It's burned down, but God in the midst, and he do it. And thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, thank you, Mr. Hilton, for what you have done for me. It's great, and thank you again.
To date, 73 persons have benefited from the program. That number is expected to rise to 100 by August. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the target by the government is to construct and distribute 1,000 housing solutions to needy persons in Jamaica.
So the target is now set, 1,000 houses. That's what we want to get to in a year. 1,000 of these kinds of units in a year. And we're going to get there because we're improving the systems quite rapidly.
The improved system being used by the team are reaping a rapid reduction in the cost to build houses under the program. Mr. Holness says the units are being built at a cost of $5.5 million, down from $7 to $8 million. This achievement will enable the government to help more needy Jamaicans have a comfortable place to call home.
But as we have improved the process, we're getting the prices coming down. So we're confident that we can still go a little bit lower, but not much lower. We would have to change the nature of the construction and the technology involved, which we are planning to do, so that we can build more houses with the fixed resources. But at $5.5 million, it's fairly, I would consider that to be affordable if it were to be sold on the open market for the quality and the standard that is there. And I would also say that it is an efficiently built structure.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness. That's it for the latest update on activities under the new social housing program, a component of the Housing Opportunity Production and Employment Hope program through the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. I'm Andre Palmer. Thank you for listening.
Rio Grande to the South Coast. Hotel workers and man we're off boat. This a for the craft vendors, red cap porters and transportation at airport. Jamaica tourism pension plan, building towards the future. For tourism workers across the island, retirement benefits to contributions. Every worker in the industry, permanent self-employed contract. For your service you deserve security. Yes you do. Tourism workers pension plan, build a bright future. Yes you can. Tourism workers pension plan, workers invest through contribution. All tourism workers, age 18 to 59. Tourism workers pension plan.
Start making your contributions for a brighter future.
For further information, visit mot.gov.jm or call 876-920-4926-30.
A production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.
People, are you listening? If you choose to remain at home after an evacuation order has been issued, you do so at your own risk.
Get down! Heed the warning!
half a tree, one and drive, half a tree. Bossy, how you do I take taxi star?
Jano, I want to tell you, say, a 2 months now, my transmission mash up, and me check everybody and can't hear nothing positive.
You hear me? You waste all that time I shop around and never call the experts. Winters Auto have them. Them have over 35 years of experience and them diagnose the problem and get back your transmission brand new. For them service excellent and efficient. Trust me, man. You hear me? Call them at 929-7040 or go to them at 106 Maxfield Avenue, Kingston 13 and talk directly to the boss. Just tell them I'm me send you.
You big star. Yeah, man, respect my boss.
Try calling, cause trust me.
Waiters Auto Spares and Repairs, good afternoon.
What a relief.
Vegam Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Hagley Park Road. Vegam Printers, your best choice in printing.
For a better choice in all your electrical supplies, A, authorized 3M dealer and better brand names. B, better service including free island-wide delivery. C, all major credit and debit cards accepted. It's ABC Electrical Sales, shop number 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10. Open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We make your electrical jobs as easy as ABC. Call 754-3825-8 or fax 754-3659. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice.
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minette and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Best 100 FM.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats.
Welcome back, and a very special welcome to my guest on the show this morning. It's so funny because it is none other than our producer himself. Lowell is sharing some microphone time, filling up pastas. One of my producers, so sorry.
I don't know about filling up anything for pasta, but
You're filling up the chair, man.
The chair. I'm sitting here and there's some space around me, so I don't know what that means. Just saying that I'm not filling the chair.
You say pasta hips bigger than yours?
Listen, I'm not saying a thing.
He's not listening.
I did notice that I get a little closer to the table. Not sure why, but anyway, I'll leave it right there.
Yeah, but all right. So I was lamenting the fact that the country is carrying some cost to participate in this Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, that this institution has been around for quite some time. This is their 24th session. I think Jamaica has always been a member of the Commonwealth, given our history. Not I think. I know that we have been a member of the Commonwealth. We had no choice. And we've seen a great deal of time and resources spent promoting Miss Johnson Smith's candidacy, and we've not seen nearly as much effort put into making Jamaicans aware of how they can contribute to the decisions that are made, the discussions that are held, because here we are trying to find oneness on the global stage with other African nations. And when I say other African, yes, I am including Jamaica, 95% black people, as having strong African connections. And some of the things that they're talking about are important things. It's the same things we're talking about here. Just this morning, talking about the young man whose video caught my attention and how he saw instinctively that the things which were wrong in his community were things touching and concerning administration of justice. And just that small thing drew my attention to how the Commonwealth Agenda sets up the theme for the business. Is this the business forum or the women's forum? Yes, the business forum,
Business forum.
or health or planet or future. The first session they have is health justice. Just the way they've lined it up just resonates with how I was speaking earlier. Building resilient and equitable national health systems. That's the first session. It is an issue for Jamaica, especially now. And the second one is climate justice. Climate justice and leadership for change in the Commonwealth is the second theme that's being addressed day 2. And the third is making change happen, accountable and people-centered governance. The very thing we're talking about.
Yeah.
That these decisions are just made and people go off, and then, if they even say anything, we never know. We have press covering it, meaning Jamaica have reporters there. And let us see what comes out in terms of Jamaica's contribution over and above, Miss Johnson Smith's future at the polls later in the conference.
Well, it is unfortunate that these conferences will be held and we come back with nothing. There are things that we should copy. And we love to copy things. But when you look at, for example, an agenda like that, there's nothing wrong with an agenda like that. Taking it and come right here and have the same kind of discussions.
Absolutely.
Absolutely nothing.
In fact, like in our experience, now may I impose some of my thing on, we've worked together for such a long time. We know that before we go out to take a position on the world stage, we discuss and agree something at home.
But of course.
And so it should be. It's a natural flow of things. But we don't see nearly enough of that. We want justice.
Let's not start that, because we have our own experiences in that area. So
oh boy,
we'll leave that one for now.
All right. I wanted to touch on what they're doing in the business forum. It's a great model to have. We can have the same kind of discussion locally. We absolutely can. We don't need to be shut out from it.
What if we just start to just develop a culture of just loving our brother, loving our neighbors, then this country will be a better place. If we start to just look outward, look at the person next to you, start caring about them, we'll also receive, because there'll also be someone who will be looking at you in the same way and treating with you in the same way. But you see, instead we tend to be selfish about how we see things. Everybody trying to defend their own little territory, and I think that is one of the problems that we face. And we should certainly seek to change that. And change should start from the leadership.
Well, just so you know, I think Honorable Edmund Bartlett is going to be one of the speakers. Also, Honorable Prime Minister Andrew Michael Holness, he will speak. I'm looking to see if any other Jamaican is scheduled to speak. Just looking. Well, okay, so those are like the frontline speakers. I don't know if Miss Johnson Smith is going to speak. I'm on their website, and you can go to and see. Many of us were curious exactly what is the Commonwealth, what does it do, what is going to happen in this conference. But the way they have identified the issues for discussion, we could easily mimic that and have our own conference here and take a report from those who have gone to find out, what they've brought back for us.
Right. In the corporate world, whenever we're sent to conferences like those, we're certainly, in our previous life.
Yes.
Then when you get back here, you have to report. Report. Does our parliamentarians, do they come back and report?
Well.
Or we're just left with whatever the media puts out?
Yeah, because we're not even in the habit anymore of like doing interviews, and which is like the easiest way to report, so it can be picked up. We're not in the habit of doing that anymore. You hardly see like our prime minister, or if they go to cut a ribbon somewhere, or you learn more from what what gets said on the campaign trail than anywhere else. So no, they don't report.
So is it really a talk shop for them? Where you go, you attend these things. Everybody have beautiful speaking, and then after the beautiful speaking, you come back and everything ends right there. We just continue
But you
with
see,
life.
and that's the cry for justice, because a part of we deserve to know what is happening in our country. We deserve to hear the people who go out to represent us, hear what they've learned, what they contributed. It is of no value to us if it just continues to reside between their two ears, and typically. That is what not everybody as chatty as you and me. Or maybe me. There not many people are prepared to, stand up and explain. Well, we did this. You're right. From my private sector life, if I went to a meeting, if it's a client meeting, if it is whether it's local or it's international, you come back with a report, and there is someone who and I take lots of notes and I make my observations and I pick up things that I believe in knowledge transfer. So I'm always looking for things that other people are doing that we could do in our own space, and to interact with them, and of course to build a network of persons that can in fact influence the larger picture. We truly are not getting that from the representation which takes place on the world stage. When Jamaica goes out, I mean, I tell you, and Jamaicans are going out all the time on the people's business, all the time. They don't get anything back. All right, I'm down to like speaker number 100, and I have not seen Kamina's face, so it doesn't look as if she'll be. But I would imagine that all of the candidates, they would make some space for persons to hear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Outside of, just the raw sitting down to vote. I would imagine they would have give them something to do. Oh, look at this Jamaica Gleaner. David Roden Salmon, journalist, Jamaica Gleaner.
Yes.
Is that a Jamaican? Do you know
I've never heard the name.
a David Salmon? It says journalist Jamaica Gleaner. So did Jamaica Gleaner, and I don't see. I know I saw one of the ladies there. So would Jamaica send one of their foreign journalists? Do some research for me, please, Miss New Producer. The name is David Roden Salmon. Find him. It is described here as a journalist from Jamaica. I don't see any of the female journalists, because one of them was covering it last night, and I don't see her name there. Anyway, I'm looking and I don't see Kamina's face. I don't know if it is that she and no, that looked like the last man. Nope, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. All right. There's some comments on the chat that I want you to comment on. I want you to comment on the comments. Yes. Truth to Power says, with the fourth estate, the legislature and the executive being totally controlled by Prime Minister Holness, thank God that the judiciary is fighting to remain independent. Otherwise, there'd be full dictatorship. Are we putting a plus mark in the box by the judiciary?
I don't think I'm the right person to ask that question.
Why not? You're the perfect person.
Well, you know what our experience has been, and I certainly don't want to say anything that will, put them in a bad light.
Yeah, well,
because there are persons who have gotten justice out of the system, and so I can only just say that.
So you're not feeling it. You're not feeling it personally,
No,
but
I'm
you
not.
are aware
I am
that.
not.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Denatal Basco says, "Greeting, Mr. and Mrs. Justice. The love of justice is simply in the majority of one. The fear of suffering injustices." So the love of justice stems from the fear of suffering injustices. I hope I read it correctly. I'm intrigued. I will consider it some more. I'm putting a half tick. If you can have a half tick. Can you have a half tick? You've been a teacher. Yeah, when the student is on the right path, but they're not fully, when they're showing promise, what you give them?
I'm not sure
A
what
half
that
star?
half tick would look like. So I think you should work with star and a half star.
You
That
can give a
work.
half star?
Yes, you can.
Okay, I just drew one on the paper. It looks like a maple leaf cut in two.
Yeah, but you just draw
I would.
left-handed star.
So stars have hands?
You need to draw a right-handed star. Yes. All right, don't take me serious. I'm kidding.
I was trying to draw it. I'm obedient. You said draw a star, draw a star. All right, but I'm prepared to give the just the judiciary. I'm prepared to give them a half tick. I am very much liking how they are expressing themselves in these human rights cases that have been recently decided.
Yes, yes.
I'm drawn to how they are framing the importance of individual rights and freedoms against public policies and objectives. I'm especially cheered by the language I saw in the Roshane Clark, in that last case where the judges were able to say the objective of restoring public safety and easing the crime and the violence in the society is a laudable and a right lawful objective. But the measures taken against one man to fulfill those objectives went too far. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better perspective to recognize that, yes, you are seeking to do the right thing. We're not saying that you're on the wrong path and that is your job, to fix an objective that is laudable. But you can't, it's not, what is it now? They said the means justify the end. What is it? The end justifies the, what is it? The end justifies the means? You can't take that approach.
I must applaud you because you're able to put aside your personal feelings based on your own experience and look at it in an objective way. And I think that stems from, you being an attorney. And,
you think so? They think attorneys are terrible.
Because
have no conscience.
It's not the easiest thing. Whenever you're hurt by a system, in the way that we have, there's the tendency to just lash out. And I'm learning not to do that. I'm learning to deal with each situation on its own merit. Yeah? And the truth is, you are correct. In recent times, we have seen some judgments which comes across as fair and just. That particular case, that human rights case, is an example of that. And I am hoping that the trend will continue, because we know, and it has been my experience, that usually the government gets the benefit of the doubt. Usually. Right? And again, I can only speak based on my own experience. My hope is that it will change. My hope is that you can, in fact, have a separation of the judiciary from the political. Yeah?
Indeed, as well as on paper.
Yes, definitely.
Well, what can I say? I've never been a very egocentric person, in the sense that yesterday Pastor was saying to me that, if you wake him up in the night and ask him about purpose, he would say, my purpose is to bring greatness or bring others to greatness. Something like that. I think I got fig. So it was facilitate individuals to greatness. Right. And I got fig. Okay. It would have been FIOG, but that made no sense. So I just dropped the, or FITG, whatever. I made it fig. For me, I've never felt that the shape of the world is defined by my experience. My experience will determine how I look at the world, but not in a straight line. Like, if I grow up and I see, for example, and this is true, my father was a dominant force in our household, and he determined a lot. His administration of justice started with his pocketbook, his purse, his wallet, whatever. you got dispensation from the treasury based on how you perform in some other areas.
Mm-hmm.
And he loved to say the humblest calf suck the most milk. So you knew right away that if you were in good favor with him, your milk bucket would never be empty.
I'm telling you.
And one thing I was from very young, I think I'm a good political person. I can read the lie of the land and know how to position myself so I get my milk. So of course, my daddy and I got along very well. But it raised in me a concern about freedom and independence. Out of that experience, even though if you talk to my siblings, and I know you have, you will hear that Minette was, daddy's pet. I never suffered, but I watched others have a different experience. And it taught me that I am not to, when I'm in a position to, I am never to have anybody feel that their entitlement is based on what they do, how they are, whether you like them or not, if they're in good standing. Never. There are some things which you deserve because of your very existence, and it is yours, whether you look good, whether you act like you deserve it or whatever. There's no need. I mean, I even remember someone doing a kindness to me and then bad talking me to my parents, saying how, she don't even write or she don't even whatever. And then my dad was speaking to me about it. I said, what? When you give something to somebody, that's it. They don't need to even look back at you and say thanks. Sure, it's nice if they do, but after you have given it, and I vexed with the lady who did it, and I just like, take it back. Because you don't feel like my expression of gratitude was enough, you go and bad talk me to my own parent? No. So for me, when I do something, I've done it. As a consequence, I get abused by the court or by parties or by whatever. They've done what they did, and you know what? They're going to be accountable for it. But my reaction and the things I do next are entirely up to me.
Mm-hmm.
Entirely up to me. So like right now, I see the court posturing in a certain way, and I give them a half tick because I think they are approaching things in the right way. But you see, giving a judgment to a taxi man who you may not see again because he may not take that $18 million and set up a bank that becomes a threat to an established institution is one thing. What I notice is that many times, as I think you were hinting at, the justice that a person gets depends entirely on what he's going to do with it, what you think he's going to do with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. True.
So, for example, like when I think of Carousel, I realized that a lot of the decisions surrounding Carousel had everything to do with what them people they are going to do with the money.
Yeah, well, it was said, it was verbalized.
And we know that it was said. And I cannot help feeling that many times when you and I were sitting in court and I saw the judges, some of whom had watched me grow from, little tadpole into big frog.
Mm-hmm.
I could see them measuring in their minds and saying, I know that, how is that possible? How is she sitting here talking about a $300 million US company? How is she sitting here? This is not computing. They're not paying no attention to the law.
Mm-hmm.
And I said it to you too. I said, I can see it. It was transparent to me that in all their doings, they were trying to reconcile how it is that somebody who they watch grow up in the law, how that person could be sitting here. So a lot of times the justice you get depends entirely on what the person dispensing, what they think you're going to go and do with it.
Yes, and you see, that's the human side of things, and the question is, how do you protect the accused from that kind of a reaction? I mean, let me tell you something.
For the Constitutional Court, they do it by having 3 judges.
Yes, but we have also seen that work against us.
Yeah, when they're
seen that work again. We have seen that work against you.
Yeah, well, some will say that when they are united on one point, then that obviously is what the majority wants, and
But is
and
it
that's
just?
where
Is it just?
not in the eyes of
And that
God,
is why you'll never get true justice in this
not from
country.
the
The
court of
truth
man.
is, if people can resolve their differences among themselves, you are much better off. I have learned that. You have said it to me before, and I have learned it, and the Bible says it.
Yes,
The
because
Bible says it.
when you solve your problems on your own, you guarantee yourself a future. When another man does it for you,
Yes, there you
but
go.
if you and I sit and work something out, we guarantee the shape of our future. It is whatever we choose to make it. When justice is dispensed by a third party who has no real heart or anything truly invested in your relationship, then the two of you just walk away and it's possible that neither is happy. All right, we got another signal because it is 7:30. We're going to the last segment before we begin to take calls. And you know what I want to do because I started on it yesterday. I didn't get to finish it, but I finished that this morning when we come back. And it's all about what a great leader desired for his nation and how his desires tied back with what his father taught him. So
Okay.
it's my
Yes.
my last thing for Father's Day.
Best FM 100 on your dial. Keep listening.
One in. A hurricane we name. And we rough. Whether we are man hurricane or woman hurricane. We want you to know that. We come up and mash up buildings, blow down things and just like flood out place. We no ram. We no respect no one. So no take no chance with we. Listen to Adprem and prepare. Hurricanes do happen, so be prepared. Yes, be prepared.
A message from the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management.
Vegam Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Hagley Park Road. Vegam Printers, your best choice in printing.
Half a tree, one and drive, half a tree. Bossy, how you do I take taxi start?
Jano, I want to tell you, say, 2 months now, my transmission mash up, and I check everybody and can't hear nothing positive.
You hear me? You waste all that time I shop around and never call the experts. Winters Auto have them. Them have over 35 years of experience and them diagnose your problem and get back your transmission brand new. For them service excellent and efficient. Trust me, man. You hear me? Call them at 929-7040 or go to them at 106 Maxfield Avenue, Kingston 13 and talk directly to the boss. Just tell them I'm me, send you.
Wow, you big star. Yeah, man, respect my boss.
I try calling you, cause trust me.
Waiters Auto Spares and Repairs, good afternoon.
Ah, what a relief.
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minette and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Best 100 FM.
It's good. It's better. But nothing beats.
You are listening to the Morning Connection. Don't pay this strange voice any mind. Pastor is on his vacation, and I was thrown in the big chair, and I am doing my best. So please bear with us. Over to you.
You're doing your best and looking good. I was looking at the last one and saying to you, wow, this is the kind of conference that we would go to. The first, for the business segment of it, the first topic is delivering a common future, connecting, innovating, transforming. Now, we know that Rwanda boasted having a very technologically current economy, knowledge-based economy, and so they have broadband internet coverage and the use of technology is big in Rwanda. We could learn something from that. And they obviously, for you to get there, you have to really be very encouraging of innovation in the transformative, what you call it now, disruptive sense, something that Jamaica don't like. We have our 2 or 3 providers of everything, and they don't want anything to disrupt their value chain or their way of doing things.
It's very sad because we are reduced to TikTok and YouTube and Facebook.
Just the
and all of these
entertainment,
things.
the
Yes.
entertainment side of
Yes.
it.
For a
Not-
country who was leading in this area, this is what we have descended to.
Yes, I'm ashamed of it.
It is very unfortunate.
I'm ashamed of it. I was gonna call Philip Paulwell's name, and I must, because he really had a vision for where we would go, using the technology, and we've fallen short. But with technology, it's much easier to get back on track than anything else, because one of the things is that the very spirit of innovation that resides in that sector means that things that seemed impossible and required a lot of money 10 years ago, in the 10 years since, the level of innovation makes it way more achievable at lower cost. So you can start at any time and feel like you've not really lost the ground. Am I right?
That is true. That is true. Yeah.
So anytime we want to get back into it, there's a horse and a software that can carry you whatever weight you are. And then their second session is leveraging the Commonwealth for a global recovery, global reset. Just the name of that, just the title they've given it, provokes thought.
Yes.
And I keep looking to see where Jamaica, where we have speakers in any of these plenary sessions. So far, I haven't seen anything. Then the one of the afternoon sessions is Commonwealth Trade, challenging protectionisms and reducing the barriers to business. No, that is a big one too, because if you are really talking about leveraging the Commonwealth relationships for change, then this is a critical part.
And I do get the impression that we don't do a lot in the region in terms of trade among our regional partners.
You mean even with CARICOM?
Yes,
We don't.
and I'm speaking about
We don't.
CARICOM.
Right now, CARICOM has an objective of, I think, like cutting the import. This is hard currency, U.S. import bill by like 50% or something. I saw it recently and I said, wow, okay, it's great that CARICOM, we are holding together to create an objective of reducing what we send out. And if you reduce what you send out, then it means you'd be doing a lot more trade amongst yourselves. But where we fall short, Lowell, and you see it time and again, and this is an area of expertise that I have. It's how you take something that's on paper, which is an objective and ideal that people express, and then build out practical, real world systems of implementation. If I have one skill, it is that skill. I can take words and create real life pictures out of it.
Yes, yeah.
You endorse that skill?
Oh yes, definitely.
I'm being funny, but and that's where it breaks down a lot of times.
A part of it, I think, is that we need to just take stock of what's happening within the various countries of the region. We need to see where the needs are. We need to see where the skill sets are. And then we need to start to trade, not just in terms of, actual products, but also skills. Yeah? Because you have persons in the region who need a certain skill set. We might have it here in Jamaica. What happens is that, especially for us in Jamaica, we have been building out the BPO, and that has been our main focus.
But we've been building it out by real estate.
Right? Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
and which is not where it's at. Believe me, you're going to end up with a whole heap of buildings and not know what to do with it. But you know what? Anyway, I will not prophesy that again. Just let it be known that that's not even no great prophecy. That is the course of things. You're going to have real estate to spare. You better know what you're going to do with it. But let me share something with you from the agenda because you talked about what's happening in the region. So here's a session that is dealing with challenging protectionism. What is protectionism? Well, we are in a free market society or economy. It has been so for a long time. The training wheels have been taken off many of the industries which were being boosted by protectionist policies and trade relations. So, for example, the quota system. When one country says, I will always take X amount of banana, sugar, coffee, whatever, from you at a certain rate, they will even fix the price. So you can go forth with some confidence and know that you won't have spoilage or you will know what to do with your excess. Free market systems don't operate like that. Free market systems is demand and supply, setting the price and determining who gets what. When those protections are removed and you're at the full, you're experiencing the full force of a free market system, sometimes because your production costs are too high, your price keeps you out of the market. You're not competitive. And that is the condition of all small, geographically small nations. The cost at which we produce various things too high for market. When you consider that some banana plantations are the size of Jamaica, you could never compete against the bananas produced at that level. So now that, and in the Commonwealth, because of the shared experiences that we had, a lot of protectionist trade arrangements were in place. And when those wheels were taken off and we canter off down the hill, we crashed. Now, there's still some need to reduce, well, there's still some need to make adjustments to get over those protective mechanisms that were in place and have been removed. Some need to come back. It is obviously still a topic of discussion, and reducing barriers to business, oh boy. In Jamaica, some of the barriers that we erect, of course, this is talking about, for many, it's probably talking about cross-border business operations. Because, and we have to be careful how we go into those things, because when globalization hit your full bore, and like now we have all kind of supply chain disruptions because we can't make a bread without getting something from foreign.
Yeah.
You will end up having 99% of the ingredients on hand, yet you can't move because there's been some problem. So this session that they're doing is going to look at the economic shock of COVID-19 on how markets do business and solving some of those problems that come out of the economic, political, and cultural differences. Can I tell you that they have a speaker from Trinidad and Tobago, the CEO, Mr. Maharaj, CEO of Caribbean Export Development Agency in Trinidad and Tobago. He is a part of that. And I'm looking to see if there is any other Caribbean panelists. So far, I've not seen any Jamaican panelist in. So let me look. They have another session later in the day. I'm just looking to see what is Jamaica's contribution to some of these things. All right. No Jamaican in the session on position the Commonwealth for the future of work. None in the session on innovation in the Commonwealth. I still hunting for a Jamaican. None in the session on innovating for resilient and inclusive food systems. They're having a think tank. All right, I'm not gonna look.
They're busy campaigning
for the.
So they have no time to be speaking about anything.
That's true.
Yeah, I think that's what's happening.
Wow, I was looking to see if maybe we'd even see her. Oh, no. The business of sustainable fashion. Yep.
Oh.
Yes.
That's what we're speaking of.
Kenia Linton George, fashion designer, Jamaica.
Yeah, that's it, Jamaica.
Yes, she's there.
Well, I'm happy for her. But,
yeah.
I mean, that is the only area that we can make a contribution.
The area of fashion. Fashion a big thing. I'm looking more to see if I see any, one bad talk us and say we're not there. It look like we're not really there. Maybe we just stood up outside the conference hall and did an interview.
When I tell you what they're there doing, somebody has
Oh,
to campaign.
Jesus.
We're good at that.
Yeah, that's it. So far, I'm just looking at what's happening today, so I'm not making up stories about our Jamaicans. All right, it looked like you're ready to leave me.
Me?
Yeah, 7:45. No. All right. No, don't leave yet.
Not yet.
Let's do this piece together. Usually pastor would have given some robust scripture to lead us off. And we're not going to let down those who are expecting to hear some word from the Lord. Can we do this together?
I'll do my best.
All right. Okay, so yesterday I wanted us to look at some of the famous, father-son duos and just look at how each either reinforced the other or whatever. But what drove me to consider that is the relationship between King Solomon and David, his father.
Yeah.
You and I were reading the instructions that David gave to his son, deathbed instructions. Aside from the building of the temple, he told him to finish two things.
Yeah.
One, he was to make sure that a certain man who had been disrespectful to David the father, he said, what he said, no, he should let something about his gray head go down to the grave. Which really was finish this for me.
Right.
And the other was concerning and the leader of the army, like the commander of the army, who had killed I think he probably had ambitions for the same job, but he took care of his predecessor in that position by really betraying him, killing him when he was on a peace mission trying to bring the kingdom together. They had set up a secret meeting. The guy came to the meeting, and Joab killed Abner. And David was never happy with it. But it's so funny how when you are cementing your position of power, there are some things that you might have to defer. And I think in David's time, he was king of Judah. He wanted the rest of Israel, Samaria and the other countries, tribes of the north. He had Judah and I think Benjamin, he had 2 tribes, and the other 10 were under a different king because they had been, that's where Saul had his power base. And the commander of Saul's army fell out of good relations with Saul and came to David with a scheme, a plan on how they would bring the 2 together so David could be king of the entire tribe of Israel. David accepted, and they had planned a secret meeting, and the commander of David's army met the man and killed him. They met by a pool. You remember the 2 teams came and they had some hand-to-hand combat, and it was obviously a plan, and it was betrayal. David named that guy who survived head of the overall army. And they went on, this was for 33 years. They went on, he served, and when David was dying, David told his son Solomon, finish this because he killed an honest man in whatever. So those 2 instructions were given by the father to the son. And within it really transpired that Joab encouraged Adonijah to approach David's mother, Solomon's mother, to ask for one of the concubines.
Yes.
Not really a concubine. This is the young girl who had been put to keep David warm in his last days.
Yes.
And it's recorded that they never had a sexual relationship, but she was a beautiful girl. And Adonijah the son comes to ask Solomon's mother for Solomon to bless a union between the two. And Solomon thought it so offensive, which it was. And even to his mother, he said, "You might as well ask me to give him the
Yes,
throne."
give him the throne, right?
Yeah. And it led to the death of both Adonijah and Joab. So there was a son, faithful, and he finished the threat that existed. In doing it, he actually secured his own place on the throne, because when he took care of Adonijah and Joab together, that was the end of it.
It was very creative how he dealt with Adonijah. Where him say, listen, if you go over that line.
Oh no, that was Shimei,
That
the
was
other
Shimei.
man.
Okay,
Yes,
I'm
that
mixing
was
them
the
up.
other man,
But that
Adonijah, the
I
brother.
particularly
Yeah.
enjoy that.
Yes,
I
yes,
like how he
yes.
dealt with that. I
He
mean, he did just hunt
so
him
like,
down and just, took his life.
yes,
Say,
that
listen,
was wisdom. The way he did it
over there,
was truly wisdom.
Yeah. Didn't I tell you not to go over there?
Don't leave. This is like not house arrest now. This is more
Yes.
like stay in your village. Do not leave. The man got on his donkey and went to look for a slave. Two of his slaves had run away. Bible stories. We love them here. But Solomon was exceptional in his obedience to his father and his
Leadership.
and his leadership of the nation. And when Solomon had completed building the temple, which was his to do, that was one of the tasks that had been ordained for him. He prayed a prayer which I want to share this morning. It's a little longish, so I'm gonna ask Lowell to help me with it, because I believe that there are some great prayers in the Bible which I feel, if we can stand in them and just bring them to bear on our own situation. And this morning, that is a prayer that I read it and I said, come hell or high water, the Morning Connection family is gonna stand in this place with me to just feel the words of this prayer. This is a young leader. Solomon was known to be quite youthful when he took the throne. This is a young leader standing in the place of his father, knowing that his father was a man of a different kind of greatness, but desiring to be great in his leadership of his country. And these are the words that he spoke after he had built a place for his people to worship. Shall I start or will you?
Go ahead. All right. This is, Lord, the God of Israel, there is no God like you in heaven above or on earth below. You who keep your covenant of love with your servants, who continue wholeheartedly in your way. You have kept your promise to your servant David my father. With your mouth you have promised, and with your hand you have fulfilled it, as it is today.
Now, Lord, the God of Israel, keep for your servant David, my father, the promises you made to him when you said, you shall never fail to have a successor to sit before me on the throne of Israel. If only your descendants are careful in all they do to walk before me faithfully as you have done. And now, God of Israel, let your word that you promised your servant David, my father, come true. But will God really dwell on earth? The heavens, even the highest heaven, cannot contain you. How much less this temple I have built? Yet give attention to your servant's prayer and his plea for mercy. Lord my God, hear the cry and the prayer that your servant is praying in your presence this day. May your eyes be open toward this temple, night and day, this place of which you said, my name shall be there, so that you will hear the prayer your servant prays toward this place. Hear the supplication of your servant and of your people Israel when they pray toward this place. Hear from heaven your dwelling place, and when you hear, forgive.
When anyone wrongs their neighbor and is required to take an oath, and they come and swear the oath before your altar in this temple, then hear from heaven and act. Judge between your servants, condemning the guilty by bringing down on their heads what they have done, and vindicating the innocent by treating them in accordance with their innocence. When your people Israel have been defeated by an enemy because they have sinned against you, and when they turn back to you and give praise to your name, praying and making supplication to you in this temple, then hear from heaven and forgive the sins of your people Israel and bring them back to the land you gave to their ancestors. When the heavens are shut up and there is no rain because the people have sinned against you, and when they pray towards this place and give praise to your name and turn from their sin because you have afflicted them, then hear from heaven and forgive the sin of your servants, your people Israel. Teach them the right way to live and send rain on the land you gave your people for an inheritance.
When famine or plague comes to the land, or blight or mildew, locusts or grasshoppers, or when an enemy besieges them in any of their cities, whatever disaster or disease may come, and when a prayer or plea is made by anyone among your people, being aware of the afflictions of their own hearts and spreading out their hands toward this temple, then hear from heaven your dwelling place. Forgive and act. Deal with everyone according to all they do, since you know their hearts, for you alone know every human heart, so that they will fear you all the time they live in the land you gave our ancestors. As for the foreigner who does not belong to your people, but has come from a distant land because of your name, for they will hear of your great name and your mighty hand and your outstretched arm, when they come and pray toward this temple, then hear from heaven your dwelling place. Do whatever the foreigner asks of you, so that all the peoples of the earth may know your name and fear you as do your own people, and may know that this house I have built bears your name. When your people go to war against their enemies, wherever you send them, and when they pray to the Lord toward the city you have chosen and the temple I have built for your name, then hear from heaven and their plea. Then hear from heaven their prayer and their plea, and uphold their cause. When they sin against you, for there is no one who does not sin, and you become angry with them and give them over to their enemies, who take them captive to their own lands, far away or near. And if they do have a change of heart in the land where they are held captive, and repent and plead with you in the land of their captors, and say, we have sinned, we have done wrong, we have acted wickedly. And if they turn back to you with all their heart and soul in the land of their enemies who took them captive, and pray to you toward the land you gave their ancestors, toward the city you have chosen and the temple I have built for your name, then from heaven your dwelling place, hear their prayer and their plea, and uphold their cause. And forgive your people who have sinned against you. Forgive all the offenses they have committed against you, and cause their captors to show them mercy. For they are your people and your inheritance whom you brought out of Egypt, out of that iron smelting furnace. May your eyes be open to your servants' plea and to the plea of your people, and may you listen to them whenever they cry out to you. For you singled them out from all the nations of the world to be your own inheritance, just as you declared through your servant Moses when you, sovereign Lord, brought our ancestors out of Egypt. Now, why did I read that long prayer? It's because when I was reading it most recently, I thought, if a leader can present and make a covenant with the Almighty, with the Creator, for his people, and this is a covenant that covers every conceivable adversity that can befall a nation. I mean, he did not leave out anything. And I'd start from the bottom. He talked about when people are taken away to slavery, whether it is human trafficking or cross-Atlantic chattel slavery. It matters not. He talks about the foreigners in your country. Even foreigners in your country, if they believe in your God and make a prayer, hear them because of the special covenant that you have struck with those people. He talks about food security. He talks about environmental ravaging of your country. If rain don't fall, if there's no food, if he left nothing to chance. He spoke about people who come and associate themselves with your faith because they see that your God works. Everything is covered. When I thought about Spanish Town and what's been happening there recently. Neighbors not behaving right with each other, because really, if you have one gang fighting another against another one, it's two neighbors who are at odds. You talk about the pandemic, when famine or plague comes to the land, or blight or mildew, locusts or grasshoppers. The only thing he didn't mention predial larceny, but some of the predial larcenists are like locusts. They just come and reap after you have planted. And he talks about education. Teach them the right way to live. Send rain on the land. I'm telling you, I read it and I thought, yes, comprehensive. And I just want Jamaicans to associate themselves with the thoroughness of that prayer and with the covenant that it is meant to represent, and to recognize that there is a path that we can choose which would have us just reconciled with each other and with our Creator. We are dangerously close to 8 o'clock. In fact,
No, we are past
some
8
people think we have passed 8 o'clock. We're going to take our break. When we come back, we're saying goodbye to my producer and my good friend, Lowell, who has kept my company as he always does. Thank you. I know you have some other business to attend to.
Yes.
I will join you at court later in the day.
Okay.
We'll take our break.
Best FM 100 on your dial. Keep listening.
BBC News. Hello, this is Jerry Smith. Russia has threatened Lithuania with serious consequences over a ban on the transport of goods through the Baltic state to the Russian territory of Kaliningrad. The growing row follows Lithuania's decision to ban the transit of some goods to Kaliningrad. Steve Rosenberg reports.
Russian officials are furious with Lithuania and with the EU